Salam and hello. My name is Nabah Ikram, and I am co-founder and executive director of Pillars of Peace. I am thrilled and honored to be a part of this event and so grateful for this incredibly important initiative by the organizers. And a huge thank you to you all for joining this session on addressing gender-based violence in Muslim communities, the impact on children, and importance of culturally competent resources. I encourage everyone attending to take a deep breath and recenter yourself. Much of this session, like many others, will be talking about topics that tug at your heart. A little background of Pillars of Peace. It's a nonprofit organization established to address a gap in appropriate residential services for Muslim survivors of domestic and gender-based violence, and to provide educational resources to help break patterns of abuse. Over the past few years, we have created crucial programming around domestic violence, healthy relationships, the rights of children, economic empowerment, and know your rights trainings. At the start of the pandemic, we noticed a dire need for financial resources and distributed $304,000, which assisted 430 individuals. The requests were for basic necessities like food, clothing, rental assistance, and diapers for children. Our guiding 5 principles are faith, solidarity, inclusivity, community engagement and empowerment, dignity and equality, social justice. I'm first going to take some time to talk about domestic and gender-based violence and the impact on children, and then we'll chat about cultural competent services. Before that, I'm going to lay down some basic definitions. Domestic violence refers to patterns of abusive behavior where one partner tries to exert control over the other partner. It can include physical, sexual, emotional, social, verbal, spiritual, and economic abuse. Gender-based violence is defined by the CDC as any form of violence against an individual based on biological sex, gender identity or expression, or perceived adherence to socially defined expectations. Gender-based violence is rooted in gender-related power differences. Again, that definition is by the CDC. Another definition by the CDC is that of child sexual abuse, which refers to the involvement of a child, persons less than 18 years old, in sexual activity that he or she or they does not fully comprehend, does not consent to, or is unable to give informed consent, or is not developmentally prepared for and cannot give consent to. About 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys experience child sexual abuse at some point in childhood. Again, this is a statistic given by the CDC. Gender-based violence unfortunately impacts millions of women, men, children, and gender nonconforming individuals every year. While there are many similarities, we may see this manifest differently depending on the situation or community. In Muslim communities, I've often seen scripture and teachings being used out of context to manipulate or isolate an individual. Often the first place an individual goes for help is a religious figure. And it's crucial to ensure your local center or mosque or other religious institution has the training and resources needed to make appropriate referrals. Often we see a parent encouraged to stay in an abusive situation to keep the family together. They're encouraged to stay for the children. Another unfortunate reality of learned behavior and growing up in abusive households is that increases the chance of an individual becoming abusive in the future or becoming someone who is abused. The role of extended families in domestic and gender-based violence cases is something we often hear about as well. Numerous times I've been told that the individual has been abused by a mother, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, or sister-in-law. I've also often seen abuse around the system of divorce, not giving the individual a divorce and prolonging this process. So when you think about this more holistically, you see that along with the parent, the child is being exposed to this violent behavior as well. And often they're also being emotionally manipulated, physically, or sexually abused. Children are also often manipulated and used as barter in abusive situations. One parent will paint the other parent in a bad light and isolate children from them. We often see this in family law cases and family court, and often we'll see the generally absent parent will aggressively pursue a custody case, which then turns into a battle. We often see children being taken on vacation to home countries and performing female genital mutilation, FGM, or even entering them into a forced marriage or a marriage where they're taking bride money. Due to economic disparity, poverty, and other factors, children are often sold into bonded labor. With the increase in globalization and technology, we're seeing more children being coerced into pornography, the sex trade, and other forms of sexual abuse, including unsolicited pictures and sexual grooming. The unfortunate reality is many children are also abused by a caregiver. The CDC says 91% of children are sexually abused by someone close, someone that they or their family knows. It is integral to stay vigilant. Society is such that often parents or caregivers can't be home when the children arrive. And that's the most vulnerable time for children, when they may want to share what's going on in their life. So it's important to find moments and times to ask about a child's day, see how they're doing, who they interacted with, and being vigilant about that behavior. To say the least, this is extremely traumatizing, and it has lifelong implications on a child's growth, psychological well-being, sleep, self-esteem, sense of safety, sense of trust, sense of self. The question is, how do we address these issues and prevent them from happening? I think it's really important to have open conversations with children about their bodies, not attaching shame to puberty or to body parts, giving them language. Even if you come from a faith-based community and teach children, it's important to teach children not to be scared if something happens, right? You don't want them existing in fear or shame. You need to build that trust so they feel safe to come and share if something has happened. So in order to protect children, we need to equip them with awareness, with knowledge. And often individuals, shy away from these conversations. But kids need to know, I trust you, but there's a lot in the world that's not safe. Talking to kids about boundaries and consent, not forcing them to hug or kiss relatives. And all of this is so that they can share with you if someone crosses that boundary. They can explain to you if someone has touched them inappropriately. Another important topic is healthy relationships, modeling a healthy relationship and talking about what they look like, what green flags are, the good things in relationships. It's really important to develop a relationship of trust with children so they feel safe coming to you. Like we said, stats show that often someone who is abusive is close, a parent, an uncle, aunt, a nanny. Clergy should also be equipped with resources if an issue comes up. Schools and colleges need more robust curriculum around sexual education and healthy relationships. There needs to be better and safer ways to file a complaint and know that a child will be protected. Religious institutions also need to talk about these issues more openly and equip themselves with the resources and adopt clear procedures and protocols for individuals to file complaints of potential incidents. On an individual level, we can create awareness. We can help develop mutual aid funds for at-risk children and build communities of care. I encourage individuals to look up the rights of children enshrined in national law and international law and the faith to which they belong. I'm sure you'll learn more about that in the other segments of the symposium. Of course, there are many other steps that can be taken around prevention. However, in the interest of time, I'll move on to my last point, which is the importance of culturally and religiously sensitive services. It is a basic right and integral for individuals to be able to seek services in the language that they feel most comfortable communicating in. It's a basic right. Along with linguistics, culturally competent services are also extremely important, as individuals may feel more comfortable speaking with someone they feel they can connect with. If a child is referred to a rape crisis center or a child abuse center, it is crucial that the evaluator understands the background that the child's coming from, how they may not have the language to discuss certain topics or have shame attached to the incident. The child's faith may also play a key role. We often see normal behavior be pathologized and key indicators ignored, so it's very important to build that rapport with the patient or client first. Take the time to learn about the resources available in your area. The domestic violence organizations, hotlines, shelters. Be equipped with this knowledge so you're able to help someone out and guide them to a culturally competent, trauma-informed service. Stay vigilant and aware. I want to thank you for joining the session on addressing gender-based violence in Muslim communities and the impact on children and importance of culturally competent resources. Immense gratitude for your time and attention. Be safe and be well.